2 to the power of x equals x looks like a very easy problem to solve, but it turns out that it is much more complicated than first assumed. The first thing we need to do is getting all the x's over to one side, so we start out by taking the natural logarithm of both sides. We can hereby get x out of the logarithm. Both sides are now divided with x, and we see that the x's in the numerator and denominator of the left side cancel out. In this problem, we need to use a function that might seem a little complicated if it is the first time you see it. The function I'm talking about is the Lambert W function. The idea of this function is that it is the inverse of a number times e to the power of the same number. That means that when you have a number on the form a times e to the power of a, the returned value is just a. But we see that the equation we now have doesn't look anything like the wanted form. The most important thing is that we need e to the power of something. We now notice that x and e to the power of ln of x is exactly the same thing. X is therefore switched out with e to the power of ln of x. The denominator can now be moved into numerator by taking the negative of the exponent. Both sides of the equation are now multiplied with -1 to get the coefficient and the exponent on the same form. We now see that it makes sense to use the Lambert W function as the coefficient is minus ln of x and the exponent also is minus ln of x. On the right side, we see that minus ln of x is a, which means that the right side can be exchanged with minus ln of x. The left side still looks ugly with the Lambert W function, but you need to remember that it is just a function that spits out a constant. Both sides are now multiplied with -1. To isolate x, we take e to the power of each side. By doing this, we notice that e to the power of ln of x is equal to x. The last thing we can do to simplify the expression on the right is noticing that when a number is to the power of a negative number, we can move it into the denominator. The final answer is therefore that when 2 to the power of x equals x, x is equal to 1 over e to the power of the Lambert W function of minus ln of 2. It actually turns out that this answer is not a real number but a complex number.